Hey everybody, welcome to the next tutorial video. We're going to be going through the Tommy gun today and kind of the first make your own mod type of video. The Tommy gun mod is just going to be, what I'm wanting to do here is I want to just take the 6-shooter that we see in Shooting Gallery and Cannon Skeet, and I just want to replace that with a big honking Tommy gun. So let's go ahead and let's start that process. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide the levels that I want to see specifically. I want to see shooting base. Make sure I'm in here. And like in the previous video, I'm going to go to our VR settings base, which is where we change what is in our hands. So let's go ahead and go to that. We'll go to our controller blueprints here, and we'll see that gun A completes _ blueprint is what is used for Shooting Gallery. So I got this. I want to make it a mod. I'm going to make it a direct replacement mod, meaning that I want the game engine to look in my mods folder and see, hey, I see gun A _ complete _ blueprint. And I need to load that. So it's going to load the mod instead of what is sitting in the game's directory. So to do that, we are literally just going to take it to mods and hit a copy here. And I'll actually see that now I have a gun A complete blueprint in the mods folder. I want to start testing with this instead of the one that is actually in the game. So I'll go over here to the blueprint, and I'll actually point it to mine and the mods with these little arrows, and I can double check that by hitting the browse button to make sure. Oh, yep, it is most definitely shooting at my gun. First things first here. What we're going to want to do is we're going to probably get this thing shooting fully automatic first. Let's go ahead and open up the blueprint and navigate it a little bit. I'm going to show you what's kind of in this blueprint. You're going to be like, spaghetti. This is blueprint. Sorry, it's spaghetti. This is, there's nothing I can really apologize for here. It's a beautiful visual scripted language. You'll find it very powerful the more and more you try it. I'm just going to show you the main parts of the gun. So this is the first one that's going to look like the biggest spaghetti mess, and this is the animate gun. When we made this, we chose to animate a lot of this stuff by hand. I would recommend, if you are bringing in your own gun, to just make animations in Max, Maya, etc. If you don't have those tools available to you to do your own animation, this is the way you would do it. You break it up into individual pieces, and you can use a timeline to modify the animation. So let's talk about the next part here. Let's go ahead and make this thing fully automatic. So how we're using this is we're actually getting a shoot event from the pawn that is placed in the game. This is set up by, we actually have these interfaces, and these are interfaces from the pawn. And this is kind of how you're supposed to do kind of these basic setups in Unreal. So in the trigger boolean, we get from the right-handed trigger. If it is pulled, we actually call a shoot command. We want this to be fully automatic, so we want it to keep shooting unless my trigger is released. So to do that, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to intercept if the trigger is released as well. So we're going to go in here into the shoot command. We've got a shoot, and what happens is it spawns the sound effect at the gunshot, and then it goes through a sequence. It animates the gun, which is our sequence 1. Sequence 2 is it actually sets up a line trace. You know, it looks for what it's going to hit. We're adding our hit effect, our decal, our sound. We're seeing what we hit. Did we hit wood? Did we hit stone? Did we hit metal? And if we did hit those, we're going to play a different sound. We're going to do a different impact decal. All that is launched from the second hit. And the final sequence launch we hit is our haptic feedback. So, since we want this to be fully automatic, we obviously want to do all this work before we get to this big sequence block right here. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set up, now with all game design, you can do this however you want, but this is how I happen to do it. I'm going to set up a gate. I'm going to enter that gate. I'm going to set up another sequence, or I'm going to set up a sequence. So once I exit that gate, I'm going to go ahead and shoot. We're going to start this open. Now, I'll show you how the actual Tommy gun looks in a second here. We're not going to worry about magazine capacity. This is just going to create an automatic weapon that's going to shoot and not shoot when you release the trigger. And then since shooting is going on, I am going to go ahead and sorry, I'm going to go right back in here. Something else we'll want to do is I'm going to actually do another sequence that in case this gate is closed, I'm going to open it first. Then we're going to enter. So that's probably the more correct way to do that. So right now, if I were to pull this trigger, I would open the gate, go into the gate, and it would keep spinning it around. So this would actually shoot a bullet every tick. So pretty soon, things would just go crazy. So what we need to do is we need to put in a delay. And we're going to actually delay, and this is going to be our rate of fire. So before we enter into that gate, again, we need a delay. So 0.2 seconds. 0.2 seconds, what? That's like 400 rounds per minute, around that range. I think the rate of fire we picked for the Tommy gun was something around, I believe, a 0.06 delay, which came out to 800 rounds per minute, which was pretty close to one of the slowest firing Tommy guns in the early 1920s. So right now, if I were to pull this trigger, it would just keep firing forever. I could keep grabbing the trigger and it would keep firing again. So what we want to do is when we release the trigger, we want it to stop firing. So this is actually, we need to create a custom event. And we just type, we right click here, we write custom, we see add custom event, and we're gonna do unshoot because we're great at English. So we're gonna do unshoot, and we're gonna pull this. So as soon as you let go of the trigger, boom, it closes. So that means that we're going to get a fire. It's going to come into enter. It's going to be closed by the removal of your trigger, and it's not going to fire anymore. This current event is currently not hooked up to anything, so we need to go over to our interfaces and trigger Boolean. And when it is released, I need to, now this is the beauty, I created a custom event. Now this will actually show up in here when I look, is now I have an unshoot. So now when I go to false and pull it over here to the return node, now we have our two things that are activated inside our main event graph. Let's go ahead and compile this. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And let's go ahead and play. Like I said, if you don't have an HTC Vive, you can go ahead and play most of these games without that. So let me pull up my hands. You can hit 6 to go straight to the shooting gallery. And now take a look. Now we've got a fully automatic pistol that as I shoot does fully auto, and I release, it stops shooting. So that's like a real quick and easy thing you can do. To get a nice fully automatic weapon. Now let's go ahead and go through the next step in this process, which is changing out the actual models. Now this is something you obviously have to do outside of Unreal, but I'm going to go ahead and show you that I already have this set up here. I already have a bunch of assets that I've placed in the mods folder. You're going to want to name that folder where all your assets are sitting. It's kind of unique. Just in case some other modder happens to use something generic like assets. So I'm going to go in here. I actually have a Tommy gun model. And we full screen this. You will actually go to, if you don't have it here, again, window, viewport, that's actually where you'll see your model. And I'm going to go ahead and replace it with the one I have selected in the content browser. You go over here. Now, your model may be at a different scale than our original. This one I just happen to know 1.7 gets it to the right scale. I'm going to move it slightly so it's in the right place. Just go ahead and make sure that the the triggers are in the same place. I don't need this cylinder cartridge in this one, so I'm going to delete it. And I also have a magazine that I want to add. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Let me get this all here. You'll get really used to get good at managing all your windows for Unreal. So I've got a Tommy gun mag. It's a big drum mag. I go to add component. static mesh. Since it's selected in the content browser, you get this nice thing where it's already like, hey, you want static mesh? That's a Tommy gun. And yes, I do. So I'm going to get this in here. I'm going to do some quick rotation to line it up the same as how we have our gun lined up in here. I'm gonna, put it in the appropriate place. You could be a little bit more scientific about this by I can just go ahead and negative 60, 90. That would probably, so we'll go ahead and do that. So negative 60, 0 on the Y, 90. So we're at the same exact rotation, and I'm gonna put it right where I want it. Alright, now one thing I want to have happen here, and you can look at the actual Tommy gun for some more specifics on how we did this, but I want this magazine to track with the gun so I can actually parent it to the base. So it'll go to the same place that this does. If I put this in the game right now, this won't work. And it's due to mostly the animation. So I will point this out to you real quick. Up in Animate is right now, when a begin play happens, we get this transform for this hammer, which I just, which is not where we want to update the base gun transform from. We want everything to update from the base. So I'm going to pull that over and use the revolver cartridge base, which, yep, I got a little delete happy. Let me delete the right things here. And the point of this whole section here is for this timeline updating. So we do a recoil. That recoil is based on a timeline, which you'll see here. It actually just does a big fast recoil and slings back to its original position. We modify some base here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that it's going to be massive how much you're going to move this. So I'm going to pull down some of these multiplies on how much we're going to do the recoil. Pull that down to about 10. Pulls down to about 2 because I don't want it to recoil near as much relatively as the pistol did. And basically what happens at this point is we update the gun transform with that recoil and everything related to it. Now we'll go ahead and compile, and I think we're going to get an error. Yep, sure we did, because I deleted the target for this relative transform. So this is a real quick fix. This was because I deleted that cartridge, the spinning cartridge. So I can just delete this. It's no longer used, and I can replug in the same thing. So let's go ahead and let's jump in and see what this looks like. So again, I'll hit 6. Let me pull this up here. And yep, we have a Tommy gun. Now you'll notice this giant thing here is the old hammer from the old gun. So it's taking that 1.7 scale, so we're gonna have to take that out real quick. But we have a shooting and firing recoiling Tommy gun. So let's do that real quick fix real quick. Again, this is all some of the leftover stuff, so let's go ahead and remove the hammer. But better yet, I actually have a hammer that is used on the Tommy gun. So let me grab that and do a replace, and let's get it back to the 1.7 scale and move it in the right position. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's jump in and see what this looks like now. Again, I'll hit 6. Pull up my Tommy gun. There we go. So this got us a quick shooting Tommy gun with a good amount of recoil. And I mean, you can have a lot of fun with this mod. Alright, so let's jump out. Now, we've provided this mod for you guys to take a look at. It's going to be a little more complex than the tutorial I just sent to you because we're also adding in the idea of a magazine. So we have the final mod has a very similar automatic firing control mechanism you see here, but we add in this ability to have a magazine amount. All we're doing here is we're incrementing a value. It's called magazine amount every shot. We set a maximum amount of 50, and if we hit our maximum amount, we close the gate. and we added an additional reload event that once pressed drops the magazine and resets the magazine amount to full. So this is kind of the big difference between the final shipping version of the Tommy gun and the tutorial I just showed you. So hopefully this will get you someplace good and started if you want to make type of a simple gun mod. The next tutorial, I'm going to take this same exact gun mod and I'm going to go ahead and cook it, show you that process, and upload it to Steam Workshop. So that process and upload